Hello, everyone. Good evening. I am Chris Cahill coming to you live from Psychic Everyday Radio at skidrowstudios.com. And this is real radio on the internet, people. It is time for another show. It is Wednesday, February 5th, 2014. And this is my first February show. And I got to tell you, I got a month full of shows about things like love and relationships and affinity and things like that. Because, as you know, February is also a month that has a certain holiday in it, which I will not name. Oh, okay, I could say it. What's that holiday, Mindy?
Valentine's Day?
Oh, Valentine's Day. It's like a combination of St. Patrick's Day and Valentine's Day, right?
Oh, boy, yeah.
How are you this week?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm good. It's nice to hear your voice.
Oh, thank you. It's nice to hear your voice, too.
Nice to be back in the studio.
I hope some of the people hearing you are also watching.
That was going to be my next thing, so thank you for bringing that up. We are live streaming video.
Well, I think you look beautiful today, so that way, if someone hasn't turned on the video yet.
They can do that, and I can give you all the peace sign. Exactly.
Yay.
Thank you, Mindy.
Oh, thank you. Hey, Chris.
Yes.
I just wanted to let you know something.
Yeah.
On Saturday, my band will be playing an afternoon show. So I thought I would share it with you.
Oh, that's nice. And share it with everybody. So where is it going to be?
It's going to be at the Redwood. And the show's from 3 till 5 p.m. We play at 5.
That's great. Yeah, that's great. And the Redwood, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, is an awesome downtown bar. It's just wonderful. It's on 2nd Street or 3rd?
I believe it's on 2nd.
And
2nd and Hill.
Yeah, it's great. Really, really great.
Delicious lunch food.
Yeah. Well, good. I'm so glad. Hopefully, I know I can't make the one this week, but
it's
thank you for saying.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. So now we've got our really happy hellos around here because we always, everybody around here has a lot of affinity for each other. And that's an example of what we'll be doing tonight in this show. I'm doing a show about affinity and love. And affinity is just that ability to really have love for yourself or other people or feel happy about them, like them, like being around them. And affinity is also an ability that you have within you. It's a spiritual ability. So anyway, not to get too far ahead of myself, you're listening at skidrowstudios.com. You can also be watching our video. As Mindy mentioned, we have a live video button on the front page of our website. And if you go there, you're going to see me saying hello to you. We also have we're also on Stitcher.com. So you can listen to this at Stitcher.com if you're listening on a handheld device. How's that? So let's see. This month, as I mentioned, I'll be featuring 4 new shows all about different kinds of things having to do with love and relationships. And next week, I'm really going to get into the relationship thing. But tonight, I'm kind of going to work from affinity, from love, from those vibrations as healing vibrations. And, I'll be doing that through the whole hour. I will also be giving affinity readings during tonight's show. So if you would like to get a free mini reading during the show, the number is 1-800-893-9562. And I hope to hear from you tonight. Now, as you can hear, I still have this gunk that's been stuck in my space for about a month now. It's almost gone. So I assure you that pretty soon you'll be hearing my old voice again. And I can't wait till I hear it again. But it's part of the energy of a growth, just growth period. And sometimes when you're going through a big change in your life, and you know this, from your own experiences, your body has to adjust to it. There's kind of an adjustment that sometimes manifests as a cold, or just manifests as you needing more space for yourself, or, needing new clothes, or needing something different, something new, something that you're transitioning to. And at this time in our evolution and in our history, one of the places we're working from, or really learning how to work more from, is that level of the 4th chakra, the heart chakra, the chakra right in the center of your chest, that contains your spiritual ability of affinity. And it's a lot about affinity and love right now. That's the transition we're making. So that's why I'm focusing on love as a healing energy, affinity as a healing energy. Now, here's a definition of affinity. Affinity is a spiritual ability contained within the fourth chakra or heart chakra, located in the center of your chest. I already said that. Your affinity makes it possible for you to have love and affinity for yourself, your creations, your life, your body, etc., as well as other people and creatures and the earth and life in general. Affinity is a wonderful healing energy to have available in your life. Now, having affinity, and you know what it feels like when you have it. Having affinity doesn't mean you're responsible for going around giving it away to other people or healing them on their affinity or trying to make them love you or trying to heal them where they have been hurt. That's kind of been a misnomer in terms of what a fourth chakra is for. You've heard me say before, if you listened to the show long ago, that your fourth chakra, or long enough, that your fourth chakra is not a first aid station. Now, when it comes to having affinity for yourself, that's where you start to heal you. And we'll get more into that in just a moment. I have my first caller, and I will give my first reading tonight. Hi. Hello, you are live.
Chris, it's Karen.
Why, Karen, nice to hear your voice. How are you?
I'm great. And Mindy was right. You do look beautiful tonight.
Why, thank you. I'm still coughing in your ear, but thank you. I appreciate it. I feel better.
You look great.
Thanks so much. Well,
I love the topic, as
good.
always. Love the love.
Good.
And I thought, affinity.
Affinity, babe. Affinity. We're going to go there.
Yeah.
I'm like sucking up my peppermint oil tonight to try to not cough through my whole show.
I didn't know peppermint oil helped with that. That's good to know.
It actually does. And hopefully it'll help sooner rather than later.
Well, it's not easy when you're talking to that's hard. And you have no breaks, You're doing all the talking.
I'm doing all the talking except for when you're talking. And then that's good because I can take a moment and say, all right, I want this to go. All right, so let me get into giving you an affinity reading.
Love it.
And how I'm going to do this, and I'll do it differently for different people, but how I'm going to do it is take a look at the energy of how you're working with your own affinity as a healing energy. Boy, I am just really, isn't this something? Let's go right into it. And the first picture I see it's a very calm, grounded vibration, this picture. In the picture, you are sitting under this beautiful old tree. It's a summertime tree. It's got lots of leaves and branches, and the tree is you're in the shade under the tree. But the tree is like your friend. That's sort of what I see, is like you have an affinity for this tree, and the tree has an affinity for you. It reminds me of, the book by Shel Silverstein, The Giving Tree?
Yes, I do.
Yes, it kind of reminds me of that. It looks like it's about your affinity for the earth and for just that level of, there's a peace you feel being in the space of being with this tree right now. And the picture I see is, it's very funny because you're sitting under the tree just being. You're not you're not, busy on doing anything. You're kind of just being. I actually see you reading a book, but the book doesn't look like it's someone else's book. It looks like it's your book. And one thing I see you're doing right now is you're studying your own affinity. Being under the tree looks like it's helping you. It's because it's very grounded, it's calm, it's peaceful, and it looks like it has a lot to do with when you are able to be in a space of nature and have that calm, that peace. And the book I see you reading, it looks like actually, it's very funny. The book is blank except for the pages you've already read, which is kind of cool. It looks like a sort of like the size of a kid's big storybook, with drawings and stuff. Mm-hmm. But it's very funny because even though it just looks like one of those skinny little books, it keeps, there's no end to it. It looks like as you open a page, you're working with a level of clairvoyance, just like imagining or seeing it or watching it unfold from a place of not having to try too hard. So it's a very spiritual ability or task that It's like a spiritual task you're engaged in. You're watching it unfold. You're being with it. But there is an affinity for doing this. There's something you have, a love for being in this space. For you, it's a very comforting space when you have this. It's calming. You're not running around chasing after. You're being. And it looks to me like just being in that place where you have permission to be is what is helping you with your affinity growth period right now. Because it is an affinity growth period you're in, which I think is just wonderful. I mean, it looks beautiful to me. And when I see kind of on where this is going or just a next step with it, the picture it looks like it has a lot to do with trust. And I believe this has come up for you before. It's kind of a big one for a lot of people right now. So there's a lot having to do with trust or trusting the tree, trusting your space that you're having under the tree, and just being and sitting on the earth. And it's simple. I know life isn't always like that, but that's the picture. So that's what I'm seeing. It's just kind of, this is a space of trust.
That is cool.
It's a beautiful picture.
Yeah, that sounds great.
I know you can see it because as I'm describing it, you're looking at it.
That is really cool. Yeah, I am. And it's nice to feel so calm because my life isn't chaotic. But when you're recreating your life, calm and grounded aren't always words that come along with that.
No.
It feels really good.
There's a lot of edge in the recreating. It's not a perfect picture, but you know it. You get it.
Yeah.
This looks like this is how you take a time out from that edgy kind of, that kind of energy from underneath.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. Awesome.
I'm liking it. Thank you for calling in so I could read this picture, because that really helped me a lot to read it. It actually helped my throat calm down.
Good.
Isn't that funny?
That is funny.
Yep.
That's cool.
Yep. Good talking to you, Karen. Thank you so much again.
You too.
Talk to you again.
Thank you, Chris.
You're very welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hello, everybody. You are listening to Psychic Everyday Radio at skidrowstudios.com. I am Chris Cahill, and if you've just joined me, welcome. This is a live show, and I'm taking callers tonight. I'll be giving readings on affinity. It's an affinity night, babies, of having to do with love. So the number here, 1-800-893-9562. Now I want to continue with, I was just giving you a definition of affinity. Now, affinity is a spiritual ability contained within you already. When you have affinity for yourself, when you're able to have that love working for you, that self-love, it's not the same thing as being, all self-involved in a negative way. This has nothing to do with that. This is about really having an affinity, choosing to have a love for you. And when you have affinity working for you, it's a very lovely energy to have. Life has more happy possibilities, by the way. Affinity helps it feel good to be alive. You have a sense of peace and belonging. You can have love in your life. Affinity makes it more fun for you to be you. If you have affinity for you, it's not necessary to go around and explain that to anybody or to worry about whether others have it. Sometimes we put the cart before the horse and we think things along the lines of, well, I'll love myself when I start getting, when I'm popular or when people like me or when things are working, when I'm doing it right. And that's kind of not how it works. I'm having an affinity for myself tonight, even though I'm screwing up my show with all these coughing, but whatever. What am I going to do? I'll just say hello to you and just keep going. So affinity helps it feel good to be alive. And that's really part of how you heal yourself, is when you have that feeling of your life is yours. It's worth living. It's something that you get to create, you get to play with, you get to enjoy. That's how it becomes a lot more fun to be who you are. Now, that bridge between body and spirit, your fourth chakra, right in the center of your chest, your heart chakra, Your heart chakra helps to make your spirit real. Helps you experience your higher realms. Having your affinity and your love helps you feel wholeness. Mm-hmm. That is one of affinity's gifts for you, is feeling whole. Now, I want to get into having affinity for your body. When you have affinity for a few things, including your body, having affinity for having a body at all is a great place to begin. You've heard me talk about this a number of times. If you're trying to heal yourself, on some level, spiritually or emotionally or physically, get that affinity going for your body. So many of us get mad at our bodies and we blame them for things that our bodies are not responsible for creating. Every single thing you've got going on in the body started with your spirit. And then we also might ignore and distrust and, dislike our bodies because they're not how we think they should be. We go into stupid body, my body is being stupid, it's doing this. And we reason that if only our body was likable or perfect or more convenient, then we'd have affinity for it. So, we wait. We think, okay, as soon as I get to that place where I'm perfect, where things are working, the way they should be, or we judge, and we forget actually that our bodies are really aware when we don't have affinity for them. If you're mad at your body or you're ignoring it or you're pretending like, it's like a deal to haul around, you're having a tough time with it, your body's well aware of that. It's kind of like, you're actually going to be an effort too, because your body will be aware that you're not present, you're not on its side. You're kind of leaving it behind. You're leaving it in the dust. Your mind's off doing one thing and your spirit's, off somewhere else. And your body's sitting there, and if you don't have affinity for it, your body will get mad, and it will let you know. So perhaps you can just offer your body some love, some affinity. And, why don't you start right now? Just take a moment and turn to yourself. Just, have your attention on you. You can close your eyes if you want to, but you don't have to. And just begin by saying hello to your body. Send a hello inside of your body. And you can start to make this a regular practice. A regular practice of simply sending a hello to your body and listening to it. And when you start to do that regularly, your relationship with your body will improve. It really does change. When you stop ignoring your body, or when you actually start to give it more of what it wants, when you let your body know you have love and affinity for it, it's going to really understand that. It's going to feel it. You create a whole new energy inside of you when you do that. It's kind of magical. And again, this is not something you have to do a particular way. Just because I suggest this, it may not be the way that you do it. Perhaps you take your body for a walk, or you give yourself rest when you know you need to, or you do something fun for you. Just, do something where you can actually spend some quality time simply being, rather than running. Part of what we do in our modern life, in our modern society, is we're running a lot. There's a lot happening. It's easier to get caught up in many different places at once, and that's okay. We're all capable of it. But then that can drag you away from where you are in present time, and wherever your body is, that's where you are. Back to affinity. What else can you have affinity for? Well, your spirit, your own spirit, you, the being, your mind, your intellect, your creativity, your creations, the things you're creating in the world. A lot of times people get very distressed or bored, or they're just ready for something brand new because they no longer have an affinity for the things that they used to like. You might just have outgrown those things. You might just be ready for a new picture. And if you have been avoiding creating the things that you really do have an affinity for, those things that there's an inner voice, or just, you know it, you feel it. You're like, I really want to go do that thing. I really want to go paint. I really want to write. I really want to go start my business. I want to play music. These things, I'm always going into it from the creativity. There may be something else. You might want to travel. You might want to move. There's so many things you could have an affinity for. And if you're not listening to what it is you do have an affinity for, then you're going to be feeling distressed or anxious or bored or kind of waiting. You might get a little stuck, like you're waiting for it to change. Listen to your affinity, your inner love of what it is you want. Where are you being guided? By yourself, by your own spirit. It's important to learn how to do this for yourself and not wait for permission to do this to be delivered by other people. If you've been holding off on loving yourself or holding off on doing things you love, you're putting the cart before the horse, and it all begins within you. All of it begins within you, every single thing. So affinity for yourself is a pretty wonderful way to live a life. Because when you decide you have that, you teach everyone else that that's how it is. You're not going to put up with things, or you really won't attract certain kinds of energies either. We all reflect each other. Love yourself just as you are, and you can create the relationships you want to have in your life. So you decide you're worthy of your own self-love, and you give other people permission to love you too. It's hard to feel good in your own space without this. As I mentioned just a moment ago, you will create relationships that mirror that back to you. You'll be creating relationships that mirror your own self-love back to you, or lack of. A lot of times people think that they need to get the relationships or go create the thing out there in order to prove to themselves that they're worthy or that they're lovable. And it really does work the other way. It can work both ways, where you meet somebody else who is so much like you and you just really have an affinity for each other, and you start to help each other create your own kind of understanding of, your worth and your love for yourself. So there. I think I have another caller here too, and I'd like to give another reading. Hello there, you are live. Hi.
Hello.
Hi, who's this?
This is Ned.
Why, hello, Ned. You've called me before. Where do you call from? I forget.
I call from North Carolina.
Well, it's wonderful to hear your voice again.
Well, it's good to see you.
Why, thank you.
Watching you instead of just listening this time.
I'm saying hello to you, Ned.
Hey.
Hey. It's awesome. Well, what can I read for you tonight? Or do you have any comment about affinity or about any of this?
I think I can relate to the thing of affinity, and was just kind of wondering. I like so many different things. Sometimes it's confusing, so I have an affinity for numerous things.
Cool. That's great.
So do you see anything that stands out?
Well, what I'm seeing, there's a picture that I'm looking at where do I see you growing in present time with your affinity. And there's a picture that you're looking not just at what you have. Like, I just see you really do have you're quite a healer. You have quite a healing spirit, and you do have a lot of positive energy you tend to work with. But there's this picture of you starting to sharpen your focus on something that it looks like, and I don't like to make predictions, but I'm looking at the vibration of the energy of something you're focusing on that you want to grow or bring into sharper focus sometime this spring. I just keep saying April. And it may or may not be exactly in April. But that's the picture, is moving more towards something. It's where I just see this vibration of green coming in. It looks like it's just after spring really starts to get underway and roll. And it looks like it may be, the picture is it's about something shifting for you at that time. And not that I don't see it as being anything like necessarily major, but the picture is that there's like maybe it's just, it's winter coming to an end, but it looks like there's another level of vibration you're working toward with your own levels of affinity that, not just what you have for those outside, but for within you. And I just see that you're working at a level of healing that's in your spirit that's at a pretty deep place. But for some reason, whether it's an action you are intending to take or a goal, a wish, a desire, something that looks like it isn't here yet, but that you're working on. And it could be a very simple thing, but I just keep seeing this, like there's a focus sort of from where you are right now on February 5th, 2014, in winter 2014, looking ahead at this spring and this particular, whether it's an event or it's a desire or something. That's the picture. And it's not that it's all about that. That just looks like somehow a stepping stone or a point in the if I'm going to look at the whole year as like a timeline, that it's kind of like a place that you rest or you stop or something along the way. I don't know if this is making any sense, but the picture is you're moving towards something that looks like in April there's another level of it. And go ahead.
Yeah, to go ahead and maybe the first time I called you, we were talking about third chakra work. And I had an experience last Easter where I was in the hospital for a week in intensive care.
Yes, now I remember that. Mm-hmm.
I thought, well, it's like, that's interesting you would mention the thing of green. It's like, so are we stepping up to the fourth chakra with green? April seems to be, again, the same time of year. Easter and some kind of renewal.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's going backwards. It looks like it's actually moving forward. So that actually, you could look at that as being a healing. There is a healing that you are, it's not that you're still in the energy from last year, but it looks like getting through that time, there's something new that comes as a result of what you went through. Like the third chakra stuff, you were clearing an old control and old vibration. So now you're in a place where you're ready for something new. And that's just all I can see is right now, it looks like there's another new level and not going back into a hospital or doing anything like that. There's something more positive.
Thank God.
No, this is not what I'm seeing. I'm seeing it more from the positive self-healing level. So affinity for you right now looks like it has to do with healing yourself on that level.
And I would have to go ahead and share that I listened to, and I first heard you on the podcast off of iTunes.
Yes.
And there really is something, years ago I did what used to be a training program that came out of California back in the late 60s, early 70s. And your podcast, your show really resonates with a lot of stuff that I haven't heard in a long time.
Well, there you go. You might be reminding yourself of your spirit, because that's kind of what it looks like here, Ned.
Yeah. Great.
Well, good luck to you, and thank you so much for listening and for calling. I appreciate it.
And I hope to talk to you again.
Well, call again sometime.
Thanks.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Hi, everyone. You are listening to SkidrowStudios.com. I am Chris Cahill, and this is Psychic Everyday Radio. And I'm in the middle of doing some readings about affinity and love. I'm doing a whole show on affinity and love. So let's see. Here's my next caller, it looks like. Hi, you are live on the air.
Hi, Chris. It's Natasha. How are you?
Good, Natasha. How are you doing?
I'm doing really, really well. I would love like a general reading, whatever you're feeling.
Well, what I'm doing is a general, just a hello at affinity tonight. So I'm going to take a look at your affinity ability, and let me just take a quick little gander at where I see you in present time with that.
You always have perfect subjects each week.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I'd like to have a subject next week called No Longer Coughing.
I know I'm coughing now, too. I'm not okay with that.
Do you have that same thing that's going around?
Exactly.
It really is hilarious how it doesn't quite, it lingers. It does linger. But then it goes away. Yeah.
It does.
Well, let's see now. What I'm looking at with you in present time, okay, now I know I saw a picture like this for you before at one point. The picture is, when I look at your affinity in present time, I see this really sparkly, it's glitter, of course, and it's like this electric blue and a really hot pink.
Oh my gosh, that's my two favorite colors.
Well, and it's a heart. The picture is the heart is, it's a really beautiful little like sparkly heart. Like you could hold it in your hands. Like it's about maybe 6 inches wide, and it's maybe like 6 by 6 inches. And the picture with the little heart it's like a little Valentine to yourself. The heart is divided down the middle, but kind of like with a little squiggle or almost like a jagged line down the middle.
Totally, yeah.
And it's beautiful. Like there's blue on the left side and pink on the right, or they're reversed. It doesn't matter what side is what. But what I see is this picture of you folding the two halves into each other, and they're each a different kind of vibration that you have, or how you see love and affinity, and folding these two halves together so that they can really just touch. It's beautiful. So what I see is not just this, the affinity you have for glitter and sparkles and all the color, like hot color, but there's something about you, when you fold it in half toward itself, it also gets protected and hidden from others. You can do that when you want to. Because the outside isn't sparkly. The outside's very simple. It's kind of almost trying to meet incognito, the other side. And the inside is this beautiful sparkle. And I see this picture of you having, even though you love to show your sparkle and your color, what I see is this picture of when you choose to, you can close this up, and it's your secret. You have it in there. You're protected. And that looks to me like a lot of this, actually, this is like affinity I'm looking at, but it looks like it has to do with you trusting yourself. A new level of self-trust. That's where you're working with your affinity. It's beautiful.
Absolutely. You're so amazing.
I love it. I love looking at this.
I love it, too.
You're always,
awesome.
You're always, thank you. You're always so colorful and sparkly to look at.
So me. So awesome. Thank you so much, Chris.
Thank you, Natasha. Thanks for calling in. Nice talking to you. Bye-bye. Hello, everyone. I'm continuing with my show about affinity, and it's really fun to say hello to all these beautiful people who are calling in. Affinity is a lovely, fun energy to work with, and it's way more fun than not having affinity, that's for sure. So let's see. Let me take my next caller. Hi, you are on the air. It's Chris.
Hi, Chris. It's Cindy. How are you?
I'm good, Cindy. How are you this week?
I am well, thank you.
Good. Now, would you like, do you have a comment, or would you?
You know what? I have a quick comment, and then I'd love you to read what you see in me.
All right.
But you were talking about affinity toward one's body, and I was just thinking of today I had a conversation with my 90-year-old mother, who's been hit with almost everything in America, and she's like the Energizer Bunny. And I have to say she's a testament to overcoming your body, loving your body, and just marching on. She had cancer 8 months ago, and they reversed it, and we thought she wasn't going to make it. And then she just had a huge fall and had surgery. And her spirit is great. You would never know it.
Right. Well, this is not anybody else who did this to her or for her. Nobody could have healed her if she hadn't decided to step up and still stay here and be in her body and be healthy.
It's amazing.
Yep.
So I think everyone wants some of that,
Well, definitely. She's a great example. And she's also actually, sometimes when we go through stuff like that, it's our body saying, hello, I'm here. It's
that's
like a reminder.
What she does.
Yep. And that's the key. And it looks wonderful. She's a great example.
She is.
Yep. Well, how about you?
And I'd love to hear what you're saying. Me, I've made maybe some recent discoveries about myself, and I'm learning some things about myself. And we'd just like to see what you're saying.
Okay, I'm going to take a look at that. That's a wonderful place to look. And the first thing I see immediately is this picture of like a little basket, kind of like when you go, it's very funny. It's hard to describe, but like a little basket where one might put one's keys and little tiny things by the front door or someplace so you don't forget them. And the picture is that you forgot you had this little basket, and it was a basket holding different kinds of energies for you. And it's a very small, it's like something that maybe a loaf of bread would fit into. It's even a little shorter than that. Just a small little humble looking basket. But I see you reaching into this basket, and it looks like you're realizing, oh, I have all this stuff in here. And it looks like you just keep pulling out different vibrations or energies or things. So not just literally, not just keys, because the keys look like they're keys to parts of you. They're keys to things you forgot you had because you used to look outside of you. And now with this basket, you're realizing, oh, I actually have a well within me. I have all of this within me. It's my responsibility. I'm the one who has to decide I do have it. And that's the picture, is you are turning on your affinity for yourself to another level. You needed to get, I know, as I recall it, you were really getting some space from your old way of living or being or working. And so it looks like what you did by getting space, even if by, having space you were feeling nervous about it, but you didn't have anything else to focus on as much as you. I mean,
That's correct.
Yep, and that's hard. That's scary. But it looks like by having your space and focusing on you, you got your space to the degree that you could see this basket and you could realize, oh, it is full. It's full of things that I actually forgot I have. Things you forgot to
I didn't think I even knew I had some of the things.
Yeah. You forgot to value. We all, and I'm not dissing on work or jobs or things like that, but when we get caught up in the demands placed on us by, companies or, the society or just how things should be, there becomes this demand to kind of match to or be that thing. And then it can be really easy to forget about who one is. Or
you tend to focus on the things you need to improve rather than the things you do well, because you're always trying to, be the good worker.
You're trying to be the good worker. You're doing something outside of yourself rather than being who you are inside of it. And there is a lot of affinity that goes along with that, reversing that, realizing I can still hold a job and get a paycheck and do these things, but I don't need to have myself taken away from me. So you've decided to get yourself back, and that's the basket. And it's really cool how it's when I say humble, it's like a really pretty little simple straw basket. It doesn't need to be anything, it's not like it's a huge thing. It's not for anyone else. It's for you, and it's very natural. I guess that's why I'm seeing it like that, because it's very natural. It's not like there's a show for anyone else. And it looks like that's part of this is, the expression, look busy. You're not having to look busy right now. Isn't that great?
It is great.
Yep. Good for you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for listening and for calling in.
I always enjoy it.
Oh, thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hello, everyone. I am Chris Cahill, your host of Psychic Everyday Radio. And we've got another 15 minutes or so in tonight's show. I am doing a show about love and affinity. My number is 1-800-893-9562. And you still have time to call in if you'd like to get a reading tonight. All right, back to affinity. So I've been focusing on affinity for you. You having affinity for yourself, you being able to use that fourth chakra ability of self-love and love for yourself, for your creations, for your life, for your body, for what you're doing. But how about your affinity for other people? We've gone into that just a little bit. Again, every healthy relationship you create, or every happy relationship, or every relationship you create begins with the one you have with yourself. And when you become more conscious about the relationship you're having with yourself, then you change the kinds of relationships you create. So many of us kind of think we have to sort of go out there and be an effort over trying to make a relationship happen, whether it's a love relationship or a professional relationship or friendship, a relationship with family or friends or whoever. But it all begins within you. You teach other people how they can relate to you. You teach other people how they can treat you and how you want them to treat you. And when you have affinity for yourself, you're teaching the world that that's the deal. That's kind of how it works. You just won't put up with anybody who won't value you when you start to have that. And you heal yourself. It takes a lot of courage to do this. You know, the courage, as you heard with the last caller, the courage to even be alone with yourself. The thing that happened when our economy hit the fan and jobs started going away for people, and this is very important, it's evolution. But the thing that happened is people had to recreate, to reimagine themselves, to see themselves differently. And it's kind of shaky and scary and a little weird. And, what is this? And what are the rules now? And what is the game we're playing? And it used to be more simple when you would just go to work and do your job, and here you know what you're supposed to be doing. And you might not have to really be yourself. We live in a connection economy now, and it's just getting more and more so. So it's important that you really know how to do that, connect with other people, and I'm sure you're noticing that. But also how to be yourself doing that, because that's actually what people are looking for. Being who you are is the thing that's really valued and validated. And people know when you're not being you, when you're being kind of false, or you're not really all present or there. So affinity is an energy that helps you be you, because you're happy being you, because you want to be you, because you like you. So you become yourself, and you trust you, and others are going to find that they can trust you too. And you'll find that it's easier to learn how to trust others because you've decided already that you are able to have that, to be conscious of what it is that means or what it is you'd like to create. Affinity is a spiritual ability. It's your spirit. And it's a healing energy too, one you can use to heal yourself. So this is all about love. If you're using the energy of love daily, it shows. You become healing to be around. And if you remember to love yourself, you are a magnet attracting good to yourself too. So that is a wonderful thing. Now, having affinity for other people means that you really like their energy. You love them, or you like their energy or who they are. You can have a deep affinity for another human being, whether that person is somebody in your family, mother, brother, father, sister, whoever, your cousin, nieces and nephews, your grandparents, whoever. You see people with different energy just tend to naturally have an affinity for each other. It could be that you see, for example, in my family, I always was aware that my grandmother, that her favorite was my brother, one of my brothers. And that didn't bother me. I was like, they just had an affinity for each other. And I always liked both of them, but it was just kind of, you could just see a certain spark or a certain kind of vibration that they had in their communication. You can have affinity for people you work with, for, your own special relationships, people you care about in your life every day. For people in general, it actually is really nice to like people. And especially if you're in a position where you are having to work with the public or work with people, I hope that you like them. that you can have affinity for them. I've actually, the people out there who are working with the public who obviously are over people. They really don't want to work with people. And I know people like that too. I think it's very funny. I remember once years ago, I was at the DMV in Illinois when I was still living in Chicago. And I was getting my driver's license renewed. And I had to stand in all those lines and do the thing you have to do. And when I was standing and everybody was, most people there were pretty nice. They were, just, you could say hello to the person at the window and they're nice and you just a little chit chat. Except for the woman who was actually taking the photos. This is the most hilarious thing. So I hand her my stuff. I finally get to go up and get my photo taken, and I've got a big smile on my face. And I said hi to her because I was determined I was going to have a really good photo for my driver's license because I was tired of having bad ones. And it was very funny because I stand in front of the thing, right in front of the camera, and she goes, smile if you want to. And it was just like that. And it was hilarious. She had no smile on her face. She was not trying to be funny. And I just laughed. And I had the weirdest photo as a result. But it cracked me up. I'm like, this woman is working with the public all day long, and she obviously hates people. She has no affinity. It was funny. I thought, okay, I'm sorry. You have that. But I still have a good story out of it, too. Now, having affinity and expressing love to others really does start with you having it for yourself. Now, I know I've been making this whole show about this, love and affinity for yourself, for other people. But as you do this, as you practice giving yourself that kind of beautiful healing for you, having that ownership over your own fourth chakra abilities, your own heart chakra, that bridge between your body and your spirit, having an affinity for those around you, just for life, it changes what you create. And life really does have meaning and beauty when you do that. Now, you could also be working the affinity picture from what you have affinity for out in the world. It may be that you really have an affinity for, a certain kind of music or a certain place on the planet, or, just driving in a certain area. Maybe you have an affinity for camping or hiking or dancing or something like that. This, again, is your ability, you working with what it is that you like, that you love, that you care about. And that will change the world. That's the other part of the evolution, revolution we're in right now. And the one that actually we've been in for a while, for a number of decades, really since the end of World War II, the beginning of the 50s and 60s. It really started in the 60s. It became much more about love, the age of Aquarius and all that stuff. We're finally in the age of Aquarius. But it really was a different time in our evolution as spiritual beings and bodies, working from the fourth chakra, that level of love and affinity. So the older generation, the one that likes to call itself the greatest generation, by the way, that was the Second World War generation. They're wonderful, but they were working more from the third chakra, from a level of duty and rules and obligation. And they're not wrong. That was necessary. That's part of our evolution. That's certainly a spiritual place to work from too. Those are abilities. But as we have changed, we have become much more inclusive of other human beings, not about just the rules or the obligation or what you're supposed to do or where you belong or all of that, but that we can all love each other. That perhaps the planet that we live on will benefit from each of us working with affinity, each of us deciding to embrace that, to embrace a level of love. It doesn't mean you have to, walk around trying really hard to love people who you just can't stand. Maybe you can have a little tolerance for them. It's really difficult to love people who are acting like haters, but I just look at them as, well, maybe they just never really had enough love for themselves and they have to be working from that place. I don't have to heal them. I don't have to fix them. I don't have to solve them, and I don't have to judge them. But you can go back to you, working from that place of affinity and love for you that starts within you and moves from you out. If you were listening to all the calls tonight, you're seeing different people. Everybody who called in tonight is working from a different place of accessing their affinity and their self-love and their ability to have that for themselves. And it's a great big growth period. It's a big, wonderful place to work. A growth period just means that you're in a time of growth and there's kind of a transition while you're going through it. We used to have the picture when we were living in rules and obligations and what you should do, that in order to have love or be loved, you had to somehow earn it. It's often a picture people have when they're working from what are the rules? What is everyone else saying? But that's just not really how it works. That doesn't cut it. The rules and obligations don't really sometimes give you permission just to decide, hey, no matter what I've succeeded at or haven't succeeded at, no matter how my body looks, no matter how other people see me, I'm not going to care. I'm not going to go into that and get sucked into that judgment. I'm going to decide right now that I can love myself. I'm going to have affinity for me. And that's actually kind of where it happens. And you really do get it too when you see other people out in the world who decide no matter what, they're having that. Like if you could run into somebody who other people might judge because of how they look or what they do or what their position is in life or their station or whatever, their level of abilities. And that person just doesn't really seem to care. It doesn't really stick. They have love and affinity for others. They have a kindness. And that's part of what does come across when you start to really work from a place of self-love, from that affinity. That kindness comes across. Other people feel safe around that. It's a nice level to work from. But first and foremost, you heal yourself. You bring something to you when you do that. So I suggest this week that you work from a place of affinity. Give yourself a try. Give yourself the permission to do that, to have affinity for you. And to give it to people, especially the difficult ones who you've had a hard time having that for. If somebody's giving you a hard time, just work from that place of having your love within you. Try it. We are coming to the end of a show. I have some things I want to tell you about. First and foremost, thank you, every one of you, for listening, for downloading my podcast. It is free, by the way, on iTunes. You can subscribe to my podcast, Psychic Every Day, on iTunes. Thank you for visiting my blog and my website. A lot of you have subscribed to my mailing list. And if you'd like to be on my newsletter list and get a weekly news, it is free. And you can do that at chriscahill.com. Also, psychiceveryday.com is my blog. And just like this show, Psychic Every Day. And I send out a pretty newsletter every week with, what's new, what's happening. I have also monthly specials. I have another free meditation every month you can just instantly download because I have a whole storefront on my website and my blog with a lot of different guided meditation recordings and some classes too. So this month's free meditation download, and it's a 60-minute meditation. This is a good one called Love Yourself. So if you'd like to practice a little bit about how to work with this energy, go to my storefront and download that meditation. And, go check out the other stuff there too. I am also accepting sponsors for my show now. If you want to help Psychic Every Day, if you want to help support it, you can do that at my website too, on my radio page. So thanks again, everybody, for listening, for tuning in. Thank you so much, Skidrow Studios and Mindy and Jenny and Jeremy and everybody who is just here with their big, smiling, beautiful faces tonight. And I'm going to be signing off in a moment. So check out the show. The show's coming in tonight. There's a bunch of great shows on Wednesday nights. And our lineup at Skidrow just continues to grow and expand. So please check us out. And I will see you again next Wednesday, February 12th, for another live show. And I'm doing a relationship show. So put it on your calendar. And there. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much.